hopefully you guys are not hearing that we're saying romance doesn't matter, but it's not as important as your friendship. Like, romance is like the occasional cherry on top versus like friendship is your meat and potatoes. Like, you need that every day, multiple times a day, and that's what adds so much joy to your marriage.
A lot of times we can rush into commitment too quick because, oh, they love God, I love God, it should work.
Yeah.
And it's like, no, that doesn't mean anything. Like, I feel like a lot of times, like, our parents' generation, you hear stories of like, oh, we got married in 6 months. And it's like,
there is a lot of that.
You don't even know them. Low key, you have deeper conversations with people at work than you do with your own partner, because you got to know their lips more than you got to know their hearts.
Oh, lips.
What's up, fam? Welcome back to our channel. My name is Tim. This is my beautiful wife, Pauline, and you're tuning in to another episode of the W Podcast, where you get wisdom in the word with the
Wheelers.
Hey, so we are super excited to be back this week. We have a great episode. And really, a thought struck me that you can be physically attracted to somebody. Obviously, right? Duh. But at the same time, you can still feel emotionally alone in a relationship. Like, you can think they're fine, beautiful, sexy, whatever words you want to use, right? Spicy. But at the same time, there's just something missing. There's this connection that you're just not getting from them.
Yeah.
And we've seen, unfortunately, even Christians get married to somebody and realize, do I even really like this person?
Right.
And on the flip side, you could also, maybe you fell in love too fast, and emotionally you feel all the butterflies of love, quote unquote. But then you look up and you realize that low key you have deeper conversations with people at work than you do with your husband. That you do with your own partner, because you got to know their lips more than you got to know their hearts.
Oh, lips.
Now, let me be honest, y'all. We've been there. Like, if you don't know our story, we've been married since 2018.
Yeah.
We've walked through job loss, grief, postpartum for you, pressure, and friendship at the end of the day is what carried us through.
Yes.
And it's not just feelings that keep you in a relationship. It's not just attraction. It's a deep friendship.
Yeah, absolutely. And it can be really easy to overlook that, especially when emotions are guiding your dating process, especially when we live in a culture that very much emphasizes attraction, and not just attraction, but like physical attraction, and kind of puts a lot of value on what we see. And we believe that the Lord wants you to be attracted to your spouse, of course. I mean, he made all of us as beautiful and handsome and attractive as all of his beautiful children are. He made us that way. But that's not the only thing he wants us to focus on, of course, when we're making our dating decisions and thinking about who we want to marry. And if you want a godly marriage that feels peaceful, it's filled with, you know, a sense of partnership and togetherness, and kind of like, I'm carrying my load, you're carrying your load, because that develops trust. You know, when I can trust, when I have seen you carry your load, not just because you're good looking, because listen, you're not marrying a piece of furniture, okay, or a painting. There's not just somebody, all they're going to do is hang around, you're going to look at them, their eye candy, right, or arm candy, all those things that people say. And we don't want a marriage that's full of pressure either, and it's definitely not one that's full of performance, because you want to be able to be naked and unashamed. You want to be able to be secure and vulnerable in your marriage, and a lot of that comes from friendship. It doesn't come from how attractive somebody is or how much money they make, and honestly, like, purpose and all those things that do matter. You just really can't skip friendship if you want to have a safe marriage for guys and girls. And a lot of times guys, you know, they wouldn't say like, oh, I want a safe marriage, because a lot of guys don't talk like that.
Yeah.
But they do want to be with their best friend, a girl who they can, you know, hang out with and have fun with and be chill with and relax with. And women, you want somebody who you can trust. You want, like, hey, if I ask you to do something, if I need you, I trust that you're going to show up for me. And that's way more than attraction. That's more than money. So we just really want to make sure that that's what we're building on, is a foundation of emotional safety and friendship.
Yeah. And listen, we have heard, obviously we haven't experienced it, but we've heard that dating in the 2020s is just not what it was like dating years ago. Like, it's a lot harder for various reasons. AI, people just have lack of trust in general. Like, there's a lot of different reasons. But what's more dangerous than being single for too long because you're trying to do the right things and make sure you're having the right conversations is marrying somebody you actually don't know and that you can't connect with.
Yeah.
So this is what happens when you skip a friendship, and then, babe, I want you to let them know what they're going to walk away with from today's episode. But when you skip friendship, you're going to build on feelings, especially just like, oh my gosh, like I just,
attraction.
I want to be with them. You're going to build on those feelings, but not foundation. And we're going to get into all of this. You're going to confuse chemistry for compatibility. Oh, we just click. Like, no, who cares about that? Because you can unclick real quick when life smacks you in the face.
True.
And the third thing that happens when you skip friendship is you feel alone even when you're in a committed relationship. So you can get married to somebody and still feel lonely.
Yeah, that's like the whole idea that you all have heard before of like being alone in a crowded room, and that sense of just like disconnection where like, hey, there are people around me, I'm in a big family, or I have a big friend group, but I don't actually feel known by any of them or anyone that I'm around. And today we want you guys to walk away with a couple of things from this episode. You're going to walk away with practical steps on how to build real friendship when you're in a dating relationship. And of course, if you are coming in, people are talking about the slow burn now. If you were already friends beforehand, that's great and that's amazing. But obviously some of you guys are dating somebody who you weren't friends before. Maybe you were introduced, maybe you got set up on a blind date, or you met on an app or met online or something like that. You can still build a really strong friendship even if you didn't know each other beforehand. You're also going to walk away with some practical steps and ways on how to spot emotional connection. How do I know if we're emotionally connected or if I'm just infatuated with this person? And then lastly, you're going to know how to change courses, how to kind of make some adjustments, even if you're already in the dating relationship. But you may say, hey, we've been together 6 months, a year and a half, and like it gets it's too late for us. No, we've got you too. So hang on to the end if you're in either of those three situations.
Now, unfortunately, both in culture for sure, but also even in the church, a lot of times we can get dating and engagement and just preparing for marriage and trying to find the right person wrong. And there's a few traps on both sides. So in the culture, a lot of times they're just focused too much on we vibe. We're vibing. It's just a good vibe, good time.
Feels good, yeah.
The other thing is the butterflies were crazy. Like, it's just like when I get around them, there's something in me that just lights up.
Yes.
And then the third thing, a lot of times, like, oh, we just click. Like, when I get around them, they understand me, they get me. And sometimes, if you're not having the right conversations, because all of these things are good, but just not they can't be the foundation. Like, it's great to vibe. We vibe. It's great for butterflies. We can have that. It's great to click. We definitely click, but that's not the foundation of our relationship. And that's why 7 years into marriage, we can still be happy and thriving. And obviously for us, and for you hopefully too, Jesus has to be at the center of the foundation for real. Like, everything we share with you on this podcast, if Jesus is not the center, it's always going to be out of whack. So we just got to make sure we get that absolutely clear. But the trap that Christians can fall into, because you could be like, yeah, Jesus is my foundation, so I'm good on that. But a lot of times we can rush into commitment too quick because, oh, they love God, I love God, it should work.
Yeah.
And it's like, no, that doesn't mean anything. Like, I feel like a lot of times, like, our parents' generation, you hear stories of like, oh, we got married in 6 months. And it's like,
there is a lot of that.
You don't even know them. Like, both our parents got married around that same time frame.
Yeah.
And a lot of times, and I'm not talking about our parents specifically, but just in general, like, a lot of times, if you get married that quick, you may not really know who that person is, and that sets you up for a dangerous first few years of marriage potentially.
Right.
The other thing that the church can get wrong a lot of times is we get engaged too quick because of community pressure. Yeah. So it's like, all right, y'all been dating for a few months now. Right, what's your intentions? Yeah. And so then you start, even if this person really isn't the best person for you to marry, you start feeling that pressure of also like, well, now I don't want to break up because we go to the same church, and I don't want to be dating a bunch of people in my church, and I don't want the mess that comes from that. And it's like, if they're not the right person, like, none of that matters long term. In the short term, those feelings are valid. I get it. Yeah. But you got to have long-term perspective when you're dating. And then the last thing that we get wrong in the church a lot of times is we think attraction plus prayer equals readiness. So just because I'm attracted to them, just because I pray and I feel like God told me like this is the person I should like be with, that doesn't mean he's saying that right now in this moment today you should get on your knee and propose and get married. So there's steps to everything.
Yeah, sometimes it can mean he's saying like take the next step, which is a lot of times is not marriage. Because a lot of times in the church, we skip the whole dating process. And there was like a whole book years ago, 10, 15 years ago, that like I kiss dating goodbye, and like we don't do any of that. Like, I don't date. And like some people have commented on our posts on Instagram too, like men of God don't date. And it's like, okay, you guys, like we get where you're coming from, where this is not like a casual, passive, fun activity that you do after work is go on dates.
Christians don't date without intention.
Right. So there's a way to like, it's also, because you have to think too, back to what you said about like our parents' generation and getting married in 6 months, and like that did happen. And because a lot of us have come from that generation and seeing, that generation was, that's when the divorce rate started kicking up. And I'm sure there's a lot of reasons why, but some of it is because like, dang, like who did I really marry? And like, this isn't fun. Like people just said, as long as you love God, I love God, or our families know each other, or whatever the case is, it's fine. But you didn't do your homework, and you didn't get to know who you were committing the rest of your life to. Not that that means people don't change in marriage, because obviously they do. But I'll have to say, sometimes our generation course corrected too much, or we overcorrected. And now we want to date for 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 years before we get to, we want to live together, and we want to see everything and inside out and test drive the car and all that before we make a big commitment. But that's not the right way to go either. So we really believe that this element of like focusing on friendship and building a friendship while you're before, during, and after marriage is what's really going to help you get to know the person. And honestly, the foundation of building a good friendship is asking really good questions, and obviously having memories and experiences together, seeing how that person responds and reacts, letting them see you respond and react. But it is really important in the church that we are not making the bad habit of skipping steps. And then a lot of times in the world, we see, we're seeing a lot of people stay in certain steps too long.
Yeah. And I can just say personally, there's been many humbling times as a man, and this is just going to speak to the power of friendship in a relationship. There's been a lot of humbling times for me in every stage of our relationship, whether it was dating, engagement, or marriage, where honestly, if society would have looked at me on the outside looking in as a quote unquote man, and a lot of times you're supposed to have it all together, especially when it comes financially, my life has not always looked that way in every stage. There's been stages where it's great, there's been stages where it's not great. But the thing that really has helped our relationship make it from every stage is friendship. Mm-hmm. Because Pauline, for one, has been humble enough at each stage to not judge me and to lend a helping hand when needed in certain times. But also our friendship, and because we're best friends, has allowed there to be a safety for me to come to you when I don't feel like I have it all together, when I feel like I'm struggling, and also a safety of like, if I do share this with you, you're not going to judge me, and you're actually going to lend out a hand to help me, and you're going to
like
help.
A friend.
You're going to help support. So that is really invaluable that you want to be able to build, and you can do that before you ever say I do, and we want to help you do that. So for men, you got to realize, and women, you should too, like for most men, friendship is a mega need for them in a romantic relationship. And you may not have the language to say that. You may not have ever realized that. Mm-hmm. But I don't know a man who like actually wants to have a good relationship with his wife. I'm not talking about guys who just like are just like out here sleeping around and doing dumb stuff. But like guys who actually want to have a close relationship with their wife, they want that person to also be their best friend. They want to be able to go golfing if they like that. They want to be able to go hunting, whatever their activity is. Watch the game.
Dunk on you.
Yeah, like they want somebody who is fun, and that's something that you can't overlook. Mm-hmm. And the Bible talks about two are better than one.
Yes.
So we know why friendship is important. But now I really want us, and I want you to talk about the first point, but how do we build that? This sounds good, y'all. Like, yes, friendship. It's like, all right, how do we actually do this practically? Let's get into it.
Yeah, so the first thing, I kind of leaked a little bit earlier, but the first thing is you want to talk like friends. But obviously it's hard. Like, what does that look like? How do I do that? You want to ask really, really, really good questions. Like, if there's one skill in life that I feel like I'm constantly trying to perfect and grow and refine, it's the art of asking really good questions, knowing what questions to ask, when and how, depending on the environment that I'm in and who I'm talking to, and kind of what my goal is of that specific conversation and then that relationship. And of course, it applies so much in dating, because a lot of times people will come into a dating space, whether it's the first date or if like you're kind of well into the relationship, and it's like coming in hot with a checklist of questions. And we've talked to you guys about that on here too, about like, hey, like, let's not do that. Like, let's not be FBI investigator. And trust me, I am the first one to endorse FBI investigation. But a lot of times that is behind the scenes, not face to face. And I used to be, people literally used to call me an interrogator when I was growing up because of how intensely I would ask questions. So if that's you, just let me be proof and let me testify that it is possible to refine that and get better. We went to a wedding a few weeks ago, as you guys saw, and we shared a little bit about it on the vlog. And a lot of Tim's, like, people that he grew up with and went to high school with were at the wedding, and we got to hang out with them. And a couple of them I'd met a few times, but one of the guys that was also in the wedding, he had said to me, and I was like, such a compliment. He was like, yeah, like, I've only met you a few times and you're so easy to talk to. And I was like, oh my gosh, like, literally one of the best compliments for me, because I grew up, like, I'm not like Tim, where Tim's very chill. And you guys see, like, the kind of more lively side of him here on the podcast, but if you've ever met him in person, he's very chill, very personable, very, like, will make you feel at home, but he does such a good job of helping, like, you open up. Like, a lot of times people walk away from talking to you and they're like, oh, I just told him, like, my whole life story and I didn't even realize it. He's not trying to do that. It just, naturally happens. He's so good at asking questions in such, like, a very comforting way. But for me, I'm high energy. I'm like a little yipper yapper, and I can make people feel a little bit intense sometimes. So all that to say, it was very, like, it speaks to, like, how much I've tried so hard to become somebody who's easy to talk to. So if that's you, and I don't obviously get it right with every single person, but, like, there is hope for, like, I'm trying to say that it's a skill that you can work on. So if you feel like you're not good at asking questions right now, there is hope.
Yeah, and we actually have a podcast that we did recently. That's Don't Say Yes Until You Ask These Questions. I'll link it right here.
Yeah.
But we break down how to do this super practically, like what questions to say at what stage of every part of the relationship. Right. So please check that out.
Yeah, and honestly, that's like at the heart of a lot of the content that we put out, and like the podcast here and on Instagram and on Threads, everywhere. Everything that we make for you guys is really the heart of it, is like really trying to help you have really good conversations and how to help you have really high quality questions to fuel those conversations so that you can uncover things about yourself, about the person that you're potentially wanting to date or are dating, and of course about the Lord as well.
Yeah, so that was number one. Number two of how to build a strong friendship while you're dating. You want to play like friends. Now this sounds kind of weird, like play like we 3, we 4.
Yeah.
But what we really mean is you want to go out on non-romantic outings. So that could be game nights, that could be hiking, it could be errands, it could be serving at church together, whatever fits your vibe. Like, you want to do things that's not always, we're in DC, we're in LA, whatever you live. Like, we're in the super fancy, cozy, chic restaurant, dressed to the nines.
Expensive, high end. Yeah, you guys should be able to get dirty together, go to a game together, like kind of do things that are more
low pressure
physical.
Dates. Low pressure dates is a great way to build friendship. And hopefully you're in environments that can help you create laughter, because laughter will help build emotional safety. So you get around each other, you start laughing. You'll be surprised what you can get a man to start sharing with you once he's started laughing and feels comfortable. Number 3, observe like friends. What does that mean? 'Cause that's kind of...
Yeah, I mean, it's sometimes we can feel this kind of sense of ownership with somebody that we're dating and kind of like already know them, or like we have XYZ in common, so that means we have everything in common. There's just an air of assumption. But sometimes when we observe like friends, that can look like making sure you're in certain environments with them and that you are taking a step back and learning and being curious. Like the heart of this is to have all of these really is to have a heart of curiosity towards the person that you're dating. So making sure that you're not just checking out when you're like, oh, let's go hang out with your friends. That's great. But notice how they act around their friends, around your friends, around family, when they're at work, at church, all these different environments. Like you should be observing that. And like see any consistencies or inconsistencies in private and in public, and they should be doing the same thing of you as well. Of course, like there's a bit of performing that comes with dating, especially early on in their relationship, and that's like normal, natural, all that stuff. That's why we really encourage you guys to date for at least 6 to 12 months if you can. Obviously, there's exceptions, to circumstances and things like that, but this is a great quote. It says you shouldn't date as long as you need to, but not longer than you have to.
Reset.
There's a great quote that says, date as long as you need to, but not longer than you have to.
Yeah.
So when you know what you know, when you've learned what you need to learn about the person, it's time to make a decision. This is the person, this is not. And when it's not, you move on. And if it is the person, it's time to start thinking about, okay, how quickly can we get engaged? But all that to say, that's what you're observing is their behavior in different environments. So many of you guys, you date, we're in relationships. Yeah, we've been together for 6 months. Okay, yeah, what have you guys done? What's been your favorite date so far? Oh, we just hang out at his house and watch Netflix. You guys are not dating. You guys are hanging out, in the living room. Like that's not, you haven't met his friends, he hasn't met your friends. You guys, oh, what's your favorite? I asked a couple at the wedding, oh, what's your favorite thing you guys have done together? Oh, I don't know, eat cheeseburgers. Like, okay, you guys like literally don't do anything. And I know that a lot of times this is where we come in with the vacations and the trips and all of that. And we talk to you guys about that, and we'll always talk about that. But there's so many things that you can do without spending a whole lot of money, without going on exotic trips. That's not what we're talking about. We're talking about, it's more like about like the people that they're around, and observing them in those spaces. And it's honestly going to be, if the person is exactly who you think they're going to be, you're going to be just over the moon excited and confident after you see them in those spaces, because you're like, yes, like I knew this is who you were. Everything that I sensed, now I'm just confirming over and over again. So don't be afraid to go into environments with the person, because it's like, if you're afraid, why? What are you afraid that you're going to see?
Yeah. And remember, like, if you're doing godly dating, you're not doing all of this on your own. So like the Lord is there to help you through each step. And you can ask him like, Lord, open my eyes, help me see things, good or bad.
Yeah.
When it comes to this person, help me build a friendship with them. And you can ask yourself too, outside of friendship, just in general, like you want to ask yourself from a spiritual discernment piece of like, is this person actually godly? Because like, yes, we're laughing. Yes, we're having friends. I do feel like we have a good friendship. Okay, that's great. Next step is, do they actually know the Lord? Like, not just say they know the Lord. Like, have you actually seen them tell you?
Obey.
Have you seen them tell you that the Lord has asked them to do something, and have you seen them obey? Because if you date long enough, 6 months, 12 months, 18 months, whatever it may be, like that's a long enough period where God is going to ask them to do something. Yeah. And you're going to have an opportunity to see if they're going to obey fully, obey partially, or not obey at all.
Yeah.
And you want to make sure that you are aware of that so you can make a wise decision, because you don't want to be with anybody who is not obeying God all the way. Any stories that you have, not about obedience or friendship, but of just like in dating, how did you know that, how did you feel comfortable?
Yeah.
With me.
Yeah, I mean, we're very fortunate. I'm very fortunate because even before we started dating and being interested in each other, like your reputation preceded you, and a lot of that starts with
you saying a lot of good things. I ain't perfect. All right,
you're pretty great though.
I got my flaws. You feel
do.
Me? But
we know.
Thank you for that.
You're welcome. But yeah, I think that's one of the that's one of the benefits of like meeting somebody in church if you can. I know that everybody like has their things about that, but like we got to know each other in church and in work as well. Like that's the other thing too. It's like we went to the same school at the same time. We worked at the same job on campus. Went to the same church. So we knew each other in a lot of different layers before we were romantically interested in each other. And like even if that didn't happen for you, we're like, because obviously, like, everyone's story is different. And, like, if you're not in college anymore, it's not a chance you're going to be able to meet somebody in that way. But I think, like, still that the Lord did that on purpose and allowed us to be more comfortable with each other dating because we got to see each other in other environments. But even if it happens before you start dating or during your dating period, I think it's still important that it happens, you know, before you go down the aisle together. So like that was one of the things that made me feel really confident was like seeing you in all these environments. Number one, you know, having somebody that I highly respected and trusted telling me like, hey, you need to look at Tim. Like, I know that he's 11 months younger than you, but like it really doesn't matter because like the way that he shows up and he serves and he has a good attitude and he doesn't snap back and like all of these other guys, they say one thing and they do another, but he's showing up at 5 a.m. and he's doing this and he's doing that and he's bringing people to church with him. Like those types of things are really, really important, and like don't overlook that just because you're like familiar with him. But then also going, you know, working with you and seeing how like you're not somebody who was flaky and that you were very reliable, even though you were a little quieter than what I would have liked at that time. And now I know that that's only a piece of who you are.
You say I talk too much sometimes.
That's not true.
I talk too much.
But yeah, I think that like seeing you in those different environments, like I would be so curious, and obviously I'll never know how open to you would I have been to dating if I didn't know you in those different environments and seeing those different environments beforehand. Like,
yeah, no, that's really good. So definitely ask the Lord if you're already in an active relationship, like, help me get in situations and rooms with this person that's not just at church or not just on a date night, but in different environments. And honestly,
at the gym.
If you're watching this when we release it, we're starting to get closer to the holiday season. So this is also a great opportunity, whether it be work parties or it would be family events. Like, make sure that you are intentionally putting yourself in rooms with people that know them or that see them in different sides that you don't.
Yeah, because a lot of times you go to like, I remember I went to a holiday party with you when we got engaged. Well, I think it was before we were engaged, and it was like really cool to meet your coworkers, and like, you know, they all were, you know, talking about how great you were and like what you were like at work, which wasn't surprising to me because you already told me, you know, how your work day like was and all that. But it's still good to like, again, be confident, like, okay, yeah, like no surprises. You guys know that's what we say and how we are. Where like, imagine if I refused to go into like your kind of work life and your work environment and I didn't know that side of you. Like, you should really want to know every single side of the person that you're with, and like the more that you are, the more you can develop that friendship and like different ways to connect. Like, oh, it's so cool when you're a coworker. Like, it's so nice to put faces to names, and like I want to know more about your work and I want to know more about, you know, what you do and how you like it. And like sometimes we're very like one track minded and like so focused on like, let's get down the aisle, and it's like, wait a second, do you know their favorite color? And it's not just about knowing favorite colors, but it's about like developing this skill and this curiosity and this interest for your partner.
Yeah. Now, if you're watching this and you're like, yo, this is great, we already dating though, so we already skipped this friendship piece, it's not too late for you.
Yeah.
You actually can course correct. And some of the things you can do is slow down a little bit and just reorient the relationship. So what do we mean by that? A lot of times you may need to take a break from romance to help reintroduce some friendly rhythms. And honestly, this is very healthy in dating because a lot of times we can move so fast on the romance, a lot of flowers, a lot of kissing, hugging, touching, that our feelings have not had a chance to catch up with our logic.
So good.
So we don't even have time to really process what we truly think about this person because our heart is just saying, I want to see him. I need him. I want him. And it's like, whoa, slow down. So, you know, this could be an opportunity to maybe set some new boundaries if you need to do that. Maybe talk about practically what can we do differently. You know, we've done a lot of movie and nights. We've done a lot of restaurant nights for date nights. Like, what are some different things we can do
variety
that are fun?
Dates.
Like, if it's colder where you live, should we go ice skating or whatever? Should we do indoor stuff? Like, should we go to a game? Like, what can we do that we have not done yet? Like, getting new experiences.
Adventure, having a spirit of adventure.
Getting new experiences is really powerful and helpful in a relationship. So you can't rush your way out of something you didn't build right from the first place. But it's not too late. Like I said earlier, go back to the podcast that we had and listen to how to ask questions at every stage of a relationship, because that can also be a good way. Maybe you're already doing a great job of going on different types of dates. You're just not having great conversations once you're on those dates. So that can help you a lot.
Yeah, and that's what the other great thing about doing experiences together. Like if you do something super adventurous, like bungee jumping, or maybe you go horseback riding together for the first time. It's not just about, checking it off your list, we did it. But it's more about like sitting down and processing with each other after, like, what did you think about that? What did you like? What did you not like? Because a lot of times I remember somebody I dated way before you, like, we went to this restaurant that like he was so excited about, and like I guess he felt was like very aligned with his culture, and I did not like it at all, and it was kind of like a big sticking point for us because he was like, this is like a part of who I am, and like you don't like it, and it was like, I'm gonna be wanting to go to environments like this for the rest of my life, essentially, and like I essentially don't want to hear you complain about it, which is very valid on his point, on his part. But like it's things like that where you're thinking like, this is just a harmless kind of like special type of restaurant, but it's like, okay, but if they go there and they don't like it, so if you were like, oh yeah, we've been dating for a few months, we go to these beautiful restaurants and we have a good time, but low key,
take her to McDonald's.
Yeah, like low key, you're a basketball player and you want to play basketball with your family and your kids, and you want that to be a big part of your family culture, and she hates basketball, she's not getting in the way of you playing. Like she's not saying like, I don't want to. She knows that you play, but if she doesn't want to play with you, or she doesn't want to play with your kids and all that stuff, that's gonna be a hindrance, to your family life and your culture and as a family in the future. So like you really want to see people in different environments and how they respond. And even if the point is to not be good at basketball, the point is to just have fun.
Yeah. So if you're watching this and you're still not sold that friendship is important, I just want to share some things that are going to happen to your relationship, because you'll find that you're always performing. And maybe you're not always now, but maybe you'll start performing because you're like, this person is so great, I got to live up to the expectation for them to stay interested in me. And it's like, I'm always interested in my friend. Like, this is my homie. Like, this is like, we're always, because of our connection is so deep. There's something, I know how to get to know you, and even when you change, like we've already built the habits of asking great questions, so I can learn you even better. Instead of like, now you're started reading a lot, so now I got to start reading a lot.
Keep up.
It's like, no, like let them be them and you be you. Also, you'll probably feel unknown and a little unsafe if you get into a marriage with somebody that's not your friend and isn't showing you that, like,
right.
Are they asking you intentional questions? Like,
yeah.
Do they have any interest in you? Like, it's sad when you get into a marriage and you realize that this person, like, do they think about me outside of when they're around me? Like, that's something that you want to be mindful of. And the last thing is, like, you can really question your decision to marry that person when hardship comes.
Yeah.
So it's like, why are we even married? Especially in marriage, you realize how different you are. Whether you're best friends or not, like, you're going to realize in marriage that you are very different from this person. You were raised differently. You process things differently. You think differently. And if you're not friends, it'll be like, all right, we're different, but like, this is my friend. I love being around them. It could be like, why am I with this person? Like, why are we even together? And then the enemy can really creep in, and if you don't have a strong foundation for why you're together. Right. So what will happen if they do build friendship and choose to really focus on it?
Right, which is what's going to happen for you, because you're just going to do everything that we talk about in this podcast, and you're going to do everything that the Lord leads you to do. And even thinking about how, like, the Lord wants to be our friend, and he says that, and like that under the blood of Jesus Christ. And I don't remember the verse right now at all, but there's a verse that talks about how, like, we're no longer slaves, and that we're children of God, but we're also, he calls us friend. And like, that's really powerful. Like, the Lord wants that for us, and he wants that not only just with him, but with each other, like a sense of friendship. And you treat your friends often a lot better than you treat your family. And obviously there's a mix of both in marriage, which is so beautiful, but it's really important that you build your friendship now in the dating phase, because if you do, you'll marry somebody that you actually enjoy, and not just, I'm thinking about the verse that says, like, to delight yourself in the Lord. And that doesn't mean that you enjoy your partner or your spouse passively, of like, oh yeah, we're having a good time, we went out to eat. It's like, no, in the midst of hard times, and we talked about this in the beginning of the podcast, in the midst of grief, in the midst of job loss, in the midst of postpartum, and all these things that we've gone through, it's like we were still able to enjoy each other because we're friends. And like at the end of the day, you have to tell, like, I literally tell myself all the time, like Tim is my guy. Like, Tim is my best friend. Like, I love being with him, and I don't want to be with anybody else. Like, I'm not just talking about in a relationship and in a marriage, but like, if I could hang out with one person all day, it'd be him. Like, so, and, you know, a lot of times, you know, you might have seen that in your parents where, like, they didn't have that type of relationship, but they did enjoy being around each other. And it's kind of like, oh, if your father's going to be there, if your mother's going to be there, I don't want to go. I want to be by myself. And it's like, man, like, that's not what I want at all. And if you prioritize friendship in your relationship, in your dating relationship now, you can laugh together, you can be boring, you can be real, you can, you know, be grossed out by certain things and still feel connected. Like, you won't feel insecure about like, oh, babe, I need help with this. Like, in y'all pregnancy, all the different things. I can tell you the amount of times Tim has cleaned up my vomit in our bathroom when I was pregnant and I was in labor. But I wasn't ashamed, you know, of that at all. And he would, yeah, babe, I'm here for you. Like, you're my friend. Like this is what I do. Like, this is
and
what we
vice
do for each
versa.
other.
You know, you've done it for me.
Have I cleaned up your vomit?
I was like sick one time. Remember, like when we decided to redo this, start doing the podcast again. Remember that one night I was in the shower, like just.
Oh yeah. Good job. Good memory.
Enemy thought, but we here.
Yeah.
Thank you, Jesus.
And then if you build your friendship now, prioritize it instead of romance, you'll build a relationship that lasts when life gets heavy. So kind of just emphasizing what we already shared. And like, hopefully you guys are not hearing that we're saying romance doesn't matter, but it's not as important as your friendship. Like, romance is like the occasional cherry on top versus like friendship is your meat and potatoes. Like, you need that every day, multiple times a day. And that's what adds so much joy to your marriage. And God promises in Psalms 34:8 that we'll taste and see that he's good. And we really believe that friendship inside of marriage and outside of marriage, obviously your platonic friendships are such a blessing as well. And your friendship with the Lord is the biggest blessing. But dating with friendship at the priority, because a lot of times, again, we, in today's culture, even in the church, we prioritize attraction just way too much. Like, and a lot of you guys will harp on us like, oh, well, you have to be attracted. Like, what if you're not attracted at all? We're not saying you should marry somebody you think is gross. That's not what we're saying. We're saying that it's not as important. Like, and I feel like we've given this analogy before of like, when you buy a house, of course you want a house that's beautiful and that it has amazing curb appeal, but you do not buy a house just because of how it looks on the outside. You have to go inside, you have to get an inspection, you have to assess the floor, the layout, and the rooms, and the walls, and all the things, and like, the whole package is why you buy it, but not just the curb appeal and how it looks. And the same thing has to be for how you make a decision for who you marry. Like, should they be attractive? Yes, that's amazing. Like, that's great. But if you get to know them and their personality is terrible, or you guys are not good friends and you don't feel safe there, like, imagine having a beautiful house, but there are no windows and there are no doors, and you're like, I can't sleep here. Someone's gonna come in and attack me, or like steal all my stuff in the middle of the night. Like, that's the same thing with friendship. Like, friendship keeps you feeling safe in your relationship. So don't just hope and say, oh, we'll work on that later, because like, this is a skill. Getting to know your partner and pursuing them, asking them good questions, doing fun things with them, observing them, all those things that we talked about, you're going to be doing that for the rest of your life. So if you do not learn how to do it now in dating, it's only going to be harder when you have the added pressure and the spiritual weight of actually being married. So don't run from the work, because the work is not going anywhere.
Yeah. So remember, everything we're sharing, it's not on you fully. Like, you don't have to do this by yourself. Like, use your community to help you see things in your partner that maybe only they have seen so far. Use the Lord. Ask him to help open up your eyes, give you wisdom on how to build a relationship or friendship with your partner. You don't need more butterflies. You need a best friend if you're trying to marry somebody for the long haul. So we hope this episode has been encouraging. We hope it's been helpful. If it has, share it with a friend who maybe needs to hear this. And we'll see y'all next week on the W Podcast.
Bye.
Thanks for watching this video.
To get more Christian relationship advice, subscribe to our channel.
And make sure you check out our other videos as well.